Okay, hello? Alright. So I've been kind of obsessed with the Southern Gothic genre. Like, I found it through TikTok, just started clicking through a bunch of them. And I realized, it's been popular for a while now, but it is kind of having a bit of a resurgence, due to Ethel Cain's music and, Sinners. The visuals of it pulled me in at first, but then to see, like, multiple people talking about the meaning behind the genre, the history and the themes, then I was completely pulled in by everything about it. And I realized that this might be the right direction for Project CD to go in, or it's at least a phase that's worth exploring. For three reasons. Starting off with Decay. As anyone who's been, watching for a while knows, every human in Project CD is dead. Despite being such a massive detail, there's never been much commentary on this in the story. It was just there to, get the humans out of the way so I could have a new race of, like, people and a whole new history to play around with. It was never something I really cared to comment on, but the death of humans should be huge. It should tie heavily into the themes and the characters themselves. It's an eerie thought that the human race, our species, could fall so low as to be replaced completely. And we're not exactly mourned by our replacements or even the Earth itself. And because of our treatment of the Earth, our predecessors would see the death of our species as necessary or even deserved. It's all so creepy and scary, especially because every day we kind of are pushing more and more towards our own extinction. But it's kind of perfect. We should be there, but not as characters. Humans should be busy haunting the narrative. If you've never heard of this trope, please know I do not mean this literally. I do not mean that, humans should appear as ghostly figures to haunt our protagonists or even whisper in their ear. I mean that we be a part of the world's design, always in the background, trees and roots clinging to our skeletons, flowers all tangled up in our rib cages, our cities and homes consumed by the green vast earth, our old tech that meant so much to us left abandoned in dead fields. While this new species just moves on without us, but we'd always be there just behind them, a constant reminder of the violence that nature is capable of, a reminder that they too are mortal, and if they don't tread lightly, they could have a similar fate, that they kind of have to do better than us and try to make a new world. Whether it be by people or by nature, violence is a big theme in the Southern Gothic genre, which leads me to my next point: extreme violence. Southern Gothic often comments on the hypocrisy of the quote-unquote good South. Beautiful land, nice people with open arms, and southern hospitality. But no doubt, the land and its history is covered in blood from lynchings, lashings, and fierce punishment brought down on slaves for attempted escape, and even harsher torture for organized rebellion. Project CD is a dark story. It's always been, but it's darker than I realized. It's filled to the brim with death and violence. I know I talk about the characters like they're my sweet baby angels and they're just my boys and they can never do no wrong, but that's not true. Yuli, I have already changed his name again, but we'll keep calling him Yuli for now. Yuli gets falsely accused of murder, only to actually murder someone in a brutal way just a few months later. And this to me is a fascinating fact of their character is, the idea that you would be accused of something and immediately your first response is, that's not who I am, I didn't do that, you can't say that, it's not true. Only to actually do that. You no longer can have that excuse of, like, that's not who I am, because it is, you did it, You can't be like, oh, well, I didn't kill Nancy, but I did kill Drew. Like, you can't do that. So it's an interesting thing with their character is that they are able to cling to some morality, but that morality is very short-lived. And Elijah kills too, but unlike Yuli, it's not exactly an accident. It's on purpose, done out of anger rather than fear. Either way, when they kill, they're just 18 and 19 years old. But they're driven to murder by the ignorance and greed of their people, which brings me to my last bit of reasoning for why I think Southern Gothic really fits the story: class disparity and racism. Throughout the story, there is a huge divide between the wealthy and lower class. It's part of why Elijah feels so alone as a country boy in a big, ritzy city, with everyone's noses turned up as they look down at him. In Yuli's cities, class disparity ties heavily into political corruption, which is a major plot point. But there's an even bigger divide between the races, specifically the mammals and the reptiles, each with harmful, exaggerated images of the other. Again, I feel like I've underplayed this conflict severely in my past videos, just for the sake of comedy and saving time. But I can't stress enough that this conflict is deadly, and they don't just dislike each other, they hate each other, and each views the other as savage and beastly. And this false perception only gets people killed. It forces their youth to defend themselves, and in turn, they become what the other says about them, which is big in racial tensions. People will poke and prod at you, and when you snap to defend yourself, whether it be physical or verbally, suddenly everything they said about you is true, and people won't see or care about what they said or did to you, only what you did or said to them after the fact. You either lay down and take it or be who they say you are. You cannot win. And a protagonist can't win either. This genre could stick with the project until it finally gets made, or it could essentially be my goth phase, but like in terms of storytelling. I hope not, because Project CD has always had multiple themes straight from Southern Gothic, more than I mentioned in this video, like isolation and being outcasted, loss of innocence, ambiguous morality, dark secrets often to do with family, religious trauma, patriotism, hypocrisy, and hidden evil in leaders. It's all been there this whole time, I just didn't see it. I mean, I've had this story since I was like in high school. Makes sense that I've been kind of desensitized to obvious themes like this, and it has changed a lot. But I guess, that's essentially the Southern Gothic genre in a nutshell. Darkness hidden under something old and a little worn down, but still beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this little deep dive into the genre and Project CD itself. This art is just a sneak peek for the next video, which will cover a lot of Elijah's origin. From now on, I will try giving pieces of the characters out instead of dumping every single thing about them in one video. I feel like it'll be easier to retain information. Oh my god. I feel like it'll be easier to retain information about them if I do it that way instead of just like the info dumping. In the spirit of the current aesthetic, I'm going to try a traditional Southern goodbye, not in a Southern accent though, because I've been suppressing it my entire life. We usually take about 20 minutes to say goodbye, but I'll just save y'all the time. I'm done talking. We really enjoyed y'all, and y'all be careful now and call us when you get to the house. I'll see you in the next video.